Hello, let's recap Grimm, Season 4, Episode 7, called The Grimm Who Stole Christmas. Yes, Merry Christmas! It's a lovely holiday episode of Grimm. Just like last season, we had Krampus. This time we have these little Christmas goblins who are terrorizing the town. But first and foremost, we have Josh because he's back from Pennsylvania or Philadelphia, I think that's where he's from, and he's got Hundjäger chasing him, and so he's hiding out at Nick's house, and he doesn't know what the heck he's doing. But luckily he has mentors like Trouble. So Trouble is in the trailer with Nick and Hank, and they're going through all their books, and they find the Secundum Naturae Ordinum Wesen, or Snow, and it turns out they have a simpler name that they refer to themselves as Wesenrain, or Wesenreen, however you want to Germanly pronounce that. And so what they do is during the Spanish Inquisition, they would take impure Wesen and they would try them and then burn them through the stake while, all the Spanish Inquisition people were burning people at the stake. And so, yeah, they were kind of doing the Grimm's job for them, and so the Grimms took a vacay while the Wesenrain were doing their thing. However, we know that these people have resurfaced in Portland and are threatening Monroe and Rosalie. And so Trouble decides, genius plan, to go and investigate the guy at the Clow Strike named Shaw, because she knew from Bud that he heard about Monroe and Rosalie's wedding, and they were saying that that's probably how this got out, that somebody was at the wedding who told somebody, and that's what Bud was talking about. So Trouble is just sneaking out of the house, and she takes Josh with her, because Josh is like, I want to learn things, and even though I'm not a Grimm, other people know, and I guess I'm just a Kirsai the Shush Cannon, just like Juliet and Hank, so you have to take me. And so Trouble's like, oh yeah, alright. So Trouble and Josh are going to Shaw's house, and they notice that there's a meeting there, and a whole bunch of people. And then turns out this Shackle guy is late. He's bringing a box of donuts, and Trouble's like, oh my god, he's gonna see me. And so Josh hits him over the head with a rock, and then Trouble finds a mask in his coat pocket. And we know the masks are from the Secundum Naturae Ordinum Wesen people, because those are the people who threw the brick through the window. So we know that, they got it right on the nail here. These are the people that they were looking for. And also, Josh, smashed somebody over the head with a very hard object and saved Trouble's life from behind, which is how Monroe and Rosalie kind of got together, so we can say we ship Trouble and Josh if we want. So speaking of Monroe and Rosalie, we had a lovely opening sequence of them playing with the train. It's called the Merclan or something. It's from like 1935, pre-war, survived the war by being buried in Monroe's grandfather's backyard or something. Very cute. And they're watching the train go around, and it's so Christmassy, and their house is so festive, and Monroe's wearing a cute hat. And, it's just a very nice Rosalie moment, because we know last Christmas Rosalie was, dealing with a lot of issues, and she wasn't really in the spirit. So it's great to see that now that they're married, they're very happy. And so Monroe invites her on a post-op honeymoon, which is extremely good, because they need a honeymoon. Come on. It's really crazy because, with the chronology of this, they actually got married in the spring, and now it's Christmas, and they're like, let's go on a honeymoon. So it doesn't really work out, but let's pretend that doesn't matter. And the train crashes, and she's like, that is not an omen. Nope, no omens here. This is gonna be great. We're actually gonna go on a honeymoon this time. Let's cross our fingers. Okay, so Trouble and Josh, with Nick's blessing, get Bud to go spy on these people, right? And so, they're in the car, and Bud's got his binoculars, and he's looking at these Wesen, and he's like, alright, this guy's Walter Dempsey, this guy's Big Johnson, he's a Shackle, he's a Haslick, oh god, these big bad Wesen. The bad Wesen that Nick has gone after, like the bad Haslick people, the bad Clow-Strike abusers, the bad Shackles that, killed his parents, so, Nick's we know that these Wesen have a reputation for being bad, and so we know that this is going to be bad news anyway. No matter that they're threatening Monroe and Rosalie, they're just bad people. So according to Josh's list, we got a Clow Strike, we got a Shackle, we got a Haslick, we got a Coyote, and we got a Lowen. Okay, so if you want to get more in the holiday spirit, let's get into the investigation of this episode. So, Merry Christmas, we got a holiday break-in, little tiny troll attacks a man, and then two others start attacking him. And, we see that it was a thing that busted out of a Christmas present. Ho, ho, ho. And so Nick and Hank go to the hospital, interrogate the guy, and, it's a crazy little monster. And there's Wu making all of his sarcastic comments and looking at the sketch of, a crazy goblin. He's like, what am I supposed to do with this? So Wu is getting extremely suspicious. Captain Renard, who tells Nick not to let him get any more suspicious, try to keep him at bay, because he doesn't want him finding anything else out. Because they already got Sean Renard's mom on the lookout for Nick's mom, and they're both like, I don't want my mom to kill your mom, so we got mom problems. In addition to, the goblins that are raiding the town every single night. So they find this little guy, and they, knock him out, they put him in his trunk, and they bring him over to Monroe and Rosalie's. Luckily, Juliet has a big-ass needle that she uses to sedate the guy. They put him in a tiny little cage and shove him in the garage until they can figure out what the heck he is, because Monroe and Rosalie have no idea. So they go to the trailer, and they find out that these little guys are called Kali Kansaroi, according to Monroe's pronunciation, and we find out that these little guys are actually Indole Gentile children. These Indole Gentile, they have very big eyes, and they're Greek, and it means, nature and kind, so they seem to be, very, humble, modest people who don't cause a lot of trouble, unlike, the people in the Wessenrein. Complete opposite here. And so it's kind of crazy that these kids are going through puberty, and it's like the 12 days of Christmas that they go through this. They cause chaos and ruin everything because they hate Christmas or something like that. So it turns out in Grimm history, the queen found out that these little children are drawn to sweets, and so the king ordered a huge 80-pound cake to be made with little fruits and candies. So it turns out that this is why there's fruitcake in the world, because the Kalakansaroi need them to be subdued, and then they're fine when the sun comes up. Juliet and Rosalie are chit-chatting, and Juliet gets a little nauseous, and Rosalie's like, oh my god, are you pregnant? And she's like, I don't know. Wait, what if I got pregnant when I was Adeline? And that's like, what? How would that even work? Because it's like, it was Juliet herself, but it was like Adeline's body, so it was her, like, sex organs? Like, I don't even know, like, how that works. So, anyway, Juliet takes a pregnancy test at the very end of this episode, and we don't get to see the result, and so we have to wait till next week. But anyway, that conversation gets put on hold because the Kalakansaroi goblin thing escapes. Its two friends find them, and then they wreak havoc on Monroe and Rosalie's Christmas house. I mean, this house is like booming with Christmas spirit. It's covered in lights and tinsel and decorations and Santas and trains. And so, for the goblins who hate Christmas, it's, a huge opportunity. And so they, get pots and pans, and they start smashing these guys. And Rosalie protects the train with her life. And luckily, Monroe comes in at the last second and Vogas, and boom, scares the crap out of him as he growls his blue-blood growl. It turns out that there was a good thing that they kind of messed up their house, because they lost a medical alert bracelet, which Rosalie finds the next day. And they find the Indole Gentile whose child owned that bracelet, and they're like, oh, it's a very, slim possibility that could even happen to our child. And they find out that the other two children are also from the same St. Dimitri's Greek Orthodox Church. And so they go to the tree lighting, where they plan to trap the kids in a big truck full of fruitcake. And so when they, go all crazy, they follow the trail that Monroe and Rosalie have set, and it leads them into the truck. They lock them in the truck, and then the next morning, turns out they're fine. So, yay for fruitcake. Monroe actually got a craving for it after this was all over. And Nick says to them that, hey, we've been working, we got a list of names of these Wessenrein people, these snow people who are after you, and whenever, we hear anything, or if we find anything else out, we will let you guys know, and we will keep you protected. So now that Nick has his powers back, he's assuring his friends that things will all go as planned. However, we are also down one Grimm, because earlier Trouble took Josh to the trailer to try to teach him about Hundjäger, and he was kind of scared about returning to his life in Philadelphia with just him and his knowledge, because, he's not a Grimm, and he doesn't have, the quick skills or, the ability to see them, and so it's going to be 10 times harder for him to get back to a normal life while also running, and, you have to stop running, as Trouble says. And so she decides she's going to go with Josh. The ship is sailing, she's going to go with him and help him and protect him. And I think it's a great, way to get Trouble, to give her a purpose, And so she thanks Nick for giving her life back and for teaching her everything and for making her not feel crazy. And it's very emotional because we've come to actually like Trouble. And so Nick gives him Aunt Marie's car, which brought the trailer here. And it's a very nice moment as Nick says goodbye to Trouble and Josh as they drive away. So, Snow, what's up with them? Trouble and Josh, are we ever going to see you again? Monroe and Rosalie, are you actually going to go on your honeymoon? And Juliet, are you pregnant? All these questions will be answered in the following episode's mid-season finale.